We made it to episode 2, though I don't know how much longer I can hold him off at the door. I can hear someone frantically smashing the letter E at the handle, and some guys managed to clip through the ceiling, which is both commendable and horrifying. At least the torso is technically screaming upstairs. Yes, spooky season's in full swing, so supernaturally coming up on today's episode, Michael Myers is back in the shape. Shagadelic baby. Halloween ends. Other releases really ramping the terror. We'll chat about Lyle Crocodile. Just look at him go. It's like the Pope himself poured holy water in a designer bag. Grotesque. There are also a ton of new trailers tickling my interest. Or there aren't. At the time of recording this, that future was uncertain. I couldn't have known, for instance, that I'm presently aggressively farty and bloated. Or I could have just stopped drinking 7 foamy lattes at the time of writing this. God damn it, Todd! Zoolander, Jacobin Mugatu. Well, chef's kiss. But yes, there will be trailers. No, not for an expansion to the Plainview universe. There will be trailers, there will be blood. I'll stop it, I'm sorry, terrible. Speaking of Paul Thomas Anderson references, and sidetracking myself very much like he's scatterbrained Adam Sandler. Yes, this week marks 20 years since the release of Punch Drunk Love, which is wonderful, and which I'll talk about. And what kind of critic would I be if I didn't criticize into celluloid molecular particulate? Further screwing us all on the microplastics front, some poor new movie living, breathing human beings poured tears and years into. The Woman King, I'll be chatting about it a bit later, playing catch-up since it's still circulating, and earlier's hyperbole aside about tearing movies to shreds and all that, I quite liked it. The Belle of the Ball, which also released recently, is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, on which I happen to discover my inner soppy nana, and I'll review that maybe next week. But at least I'll bring you 2 interviews I was privileged enough to do with the supporting actors Ellen Thomas and Lucas Bravo. All of it here, where I'm JP Sebastian, and we see no evil. Good evening. Again. It's the top of the hour, top of the week. Everyone settle down. Serious business. It's time for the BabEWNS, which is easily the worst pun the show will ever see. I swear at my funeral someone's gonna raise it, attendants will just shrug, and tip my coffin into a gutter like a day-old parcel of cold chips. But yes, BabEWNS, aka the news if you aren't a savant cryptographer. What has the world of movies been up to? What are they building in there? 2 headlines that went doo-doo on my eyes. Richard Linklater called cartoon capping by Academy. And this. A recent anti-Scorchsese hit piece has kicked itself in the scallions, leaving Guillermo del Toro seeing red. A large, lovely sweet pea of a man. I read it, I didn't want to be bitchy, but my god. Minaj ain't sh**. Regretfully, emphatically, bitch phases set to slay. Something I regularly say, I promise you. I spit take so many times reading the thing, I dehydrated and am delivering this near death from a hospital with my lower half on a drip and dialysis. To quote the thing, Scorsese doesn't really believe in cinema, says article, and consistently refused to work within the art form's natural parameters. The art form's natural parameters. Natural parameters. The fuck? Del Toro was more eloquent, saying in a tweet, a series of which you should read, I very, very seldom post anything contradictory here, but the amount of misconceptions, sloppy inaccuracies, and hostile adjectives not backed by an actual rationale is offensive, cruel, and ill-intentioned. This article baited them traffic, but at what cost? In summary, a ratio more terrifying than anything Del Toro might nightmare. This piece, guys. Fuck. Nurse, you do some sort of like reverse literacy procedure around here. Because I'd rather be. For Lacuna Incorporated, if only. Eternal sunshine. To dream. And while we all know dream is destiny, the next Oscars won't be for Richard Linklater. A word of caution, by the way, on the expert advice of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, I've chosen to maintain this warning sign over the following footage in case you should find yourself becoming violently confused. Yes, the director of marvelous animations like Waking Life and A Scanner Darkly, has been found by the Academy to not have made an animation in his latest animation, Apollo 10.5, and thus is not eligible for the nomination in that category. The Academy has equated its frame-by-frame rotoscoping of performers by more than 200 animators to motion capture, disqualifying it from consideration. Linklater diplomatically raised in his appeal letter that conditions nowhere to be found in Oscar's own rulebook were thus arbitrarily applied to his movie. JP found hilarious Oscar's claim that, and I quote, "The character performances in this film do not appear to be creatively designed in a significant way that differs from the original footage. Which one is Rob Ford? Who's to say? They're so similar." That's ice behind him, by the way. Another prerequisite of the nominating committee is to press their thumbs into their eyes so that all they can see are their eye worms and the abyss for 20 hours per day minimum. Worse still, the animated category has no prerequisite for which Academy members can vote. It's carte blanche, free for all on animation. Whereas actors choose actor categories, editors choose best editing, etc., etc. Linklater believes the category is willfully broken to boost corporations cartooning exclusively for impressionable, non-discerning kid eyes. Which, yeah. Sweet Pea Scorchsese and cinema defender Guillermo del Toro put it more succinctly at Annecy this year, proclaiming, "Animation is not a f***ing genre. Animation is film." This story is covered excellently by Eric Cohn for IndieWire. Absolutely do go read it more richly there too. Great stuff. Now over to the weather with JP.